Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, new film from Scott Cooper based on a book by Warren Zanes, which in turn is of course a book about Bruce Springsteen. The movie stars Jeremy Allen White, Jeremy Strong, Paul Walter Hauser, Stephen Graham, and Odessa Young. It's not a traditional biopic, thankfully, in the sense that it doesn't show you the entire life of Bruce Springsteen from childhood until present day. Rather, it focuses on a specific, very specific period of time when, in the early 1980s, he's coming off a successful tour. He's expected and pushed to use the momentum to create the next album, which is expected to break all popularity records. But instead, he holds up at a house, mostly alone, with old recording equipment, and starts to make a quiet, acoustic folk album that would later become Nebraska. In the process, revisiting his complicated childhood memories about his father, and slowly coming to the realization that what he's dealing with is depression. So, the thing I appreciate most about this movie is sadly also its biggest problem, and that is the departure from the classic formula. I really like the idea. I like the film, I like the fact that the film focuses on a specific time period and album. I like that it goes quite deep into the thought process behind some of the songs. I like that it's introspective and puts Bruce on a journey of self-discovery where initially he's inspired by these true crime stories of a killer that he reads in newspapers, and then he realizes he's actually been writing about himself all along. And then in the climax of the film, accepting that he's depressed and accepting he requires help. However, as much as these ideas are sound, in execution, they can come off as kind of boring. It's not a very dramatic film. It's basically 2 hours of Jeremy Allen White being sad, neglecting his girlfriend, and insisting that the songs on the record need to sound exactly like they did in his bedroom. It does feel repetitive over the course of the film, and also if you were to sort of plot the drama on a chart, it will be almost a flat line with just one small spike at the climax, because 95% of the conflict here is internal, and as a result, there is little sense of dramatic urgency. Even the dynamics between Springsteen and his manager and musicians and sound engineers are fairly smooth. They all are rather supportive of his vision, however shocking it may be and however they may disagree with it. Now, admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of Springsteen. Not that I dislike him, but I just never got into his music. I did listen to Nebraska a few times, and I know the hits, but I suppose not having a stronger emotional connection and interest in the subject may have colored my enjoyment of the film. I liked its look and sound. I didn't much like Jeremy Allen White, his performance. I mean, I love him in The Bear, but in here I just wasn't very convinced by what he was doing. And again, from a casual perspective, he didn't become Springsteen to me. Now, to be clear, this isn't a bad movie. In the end, I did like it more than I didn't. I think it's decent, but I admit it has flaws. And I worry that the flaws might lead the audiences to dislike the film and the studio to take the wrong lesson, the wrong conclusions from this. Because again, a non-traditional, non-formulaic musical biopic is a great idea, even if the execution is a bit rough around the edges.